Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was trying to say good morning, and then everybody started to pop on, and my fingers weren't fast enough. So if I missed you, Susie Q, Geraint, Sydney, Jane, L. Roberts, Rob, and Joe. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for joining in. It is, if you saw from our initial shot, it's kind of rainy here today, and I have to tell you, I'm loving it. I don't know. It's like, you live in Florida. It's beautiful. It's sunshiny. It's warm all the time. And just every once in a while, you just kind of want to have permission to, and I won't say be lazy because we've actually got a busy day ahead of us and we've already had a busy day. Good morning, Allie. It's just kind of nice every once in a while. When I was a kid, I remember like vividly the halls of Thorogood Elementary. By the way, Thorogood is a very long word for an elementary school kid to learn how to spell. Anyway, Thorogood Elementary, I just remember the hallways and the windows, and when it would be rainy, it would just be dark, and it was just, I don't know, it just kind of gave a different vibe, and it was kind of fun. So not that I enjoy rainy weather all the time.
Look at that.
I know.
I mean, it is.
It's still raining. Obviously we have the pool going and everything is getting soaked out there, but I will tell you, we have not had rain in a while. So we're actually really grateful that we're having a day. As you said earlier, whoever it was at April showers, I think it was Richard, maybe. It's, we really kind of need this. Parts of our grass were starting to get a little dry. We have some plants inside the lanai space by the pool that are not in the ground. The ones in the ground have the irrigation system to kind of keep them watered, but the ones that are in the big planters do not. And so we've been having to water them. And I looked the other day and one of them was like completely gone. I'm like, oh my gosh. So anyway, so we're happy that it's a rainy day. So on that note, and this is not because it's a rainy day, this is actually a mug from Jan from New Jersey. And this was the one that she gave to Eric. Eric did an open house a couple of weeks ago at one of our listings. And Jan from New Jersey came by and she said, Amy always has the mug. So we have one for Eric. So this is Eric's mug. It is grumpy, super cute, by the way, right? Super duper cute. But Eric has, he loves the mug, by the way. So Jan, thank you. There's nothing in this one, full disclosure. I am so bad at this. I could not be a weatherman. I could not do it. Anyway, so there's nothing in it, but he did want me to feature it and to say thank you again to Jan. That was very, very, very sweet.
Thanks, Jan.
Thanks, Jan.
I love Brady Bunch.
Yes, he does use it. It's just that he's not using it right now because I'm using it for display. However, guys, I'm on to Diet Coke. I'm sorry. It's been an early morning. The dogs woke up early. We had to get my son up early again for school. There's a couple things I needed to do prior to getting ready for this. And so I've already had my coffee, guys. I had my coffee a while back, a couple hours ago. And at this point, I'm on to the cold caffeine. But because of that, I did think I would at least wipe off my lipstick. Ugh, okay. That I would show you what we did. So we actually, for our little pool area, we've called it Foxtails. We got our own little koozies. We did these. We got them, I think, from Etsy. I try to support Etsy as much as I can because I really, really, really love people who kind of start their own little business, whether it's that they can print things like this or whether it's like artists or craftspeople that have really great ideas. So anyway, so I know it's not a coffee mug, but this is what I'm sharing with you. My Diet Coke, it is really a Diet Coke, by the way. I always worry that people think it's a beer. I don't drink. But anyway, Foxtails poolside, and then relax and stay a while from the Kidwell. So anyway, so if you come over, you're probably going to get a koozie. Okay, anyway.
I would like to point out that
yes,
there's
sir.
nothing wrong with drinking, and you do drink occasionally, but if you drink 3 sips of wine cooler, you're hammered. So that's the issue.
Yeah, that's true. We're just not drinkers. We're not the people who just will pop something open just for the heck of it. The hardcore we get is a wine cooler or a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
We should.
We should. I know. Yeah. Like everyone seems to drink a lot, like literally everywhere.
People love it. So
I know. I don't know why we don't do it, but good morning, Jim Federico.
Hey, don't forget to ask people to like.
Yes, I've been told to please like and subscribe if you haven't already to this. I'm really bad because I just like to talk to you, but there's a point to this, and so Eric has to remind me of sometimes of what we're doing here. So I'm just having fun talking to you. So anyway, so with that, I will move on. Good morning again. Thank you, Jan, for Eric's mug. Cheers to you. You may have your coffee. I am on to Diet Coke, and I actually have a lot to talk about today. Surprise. And I want to get into that too. So let's go ahead and move on. But before I do, just in case I missed you, I think I said it already. Joey said good morning. Yeah, Joe's back north already. Diz, Deb, Susie Q, Marsha, Geraint again, Jim. Anybody else? I think I got you all. So good morning. Thanks for joining in. We're going to go ahead and get going to what's brewing because I have a lot to talk about, and some of it's kind of exciting and some of it's very informative. Here we go. Okay, so our what's brewing topics for today are one-day staycay. So you guys might remember that, I don't know if it was last week, I guess it was 2 weeks ago, Eric and I celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary. That's a big one. You know, we're excited about that. We don't really ever do anything much to celebrate. We don't typically go anywhere or go on vacations. We should. There's a lot of things that we should do that would make our quality of life much, much, much better. But we are very busy and grateful to be busy. So sometimes those things get put on the back burner. I know they shouldn't. And so first of all, I have to explain. My husband is so good, so creative, so amazing. I always get the most incredible gifts, whether it's a birthday gift or whether it's Christmas or, you know, whether it's an anniversary gift. And I can't do the stuff that he does. He does a lot of it, you know, is technical. There was one time for my birthday. We had just moved here from Virginia, so I was still a little homesick, still missing a lot of my friends and family from there. And so without me knowing, he went and kind of enlisted all of my old friends to video little clippets of singing a specific song. And then he kind of compiled it all together. And so that was like a real tearjerker for me. And lots of things. I mean, I could go on and on and on with all the creative things that he does for me. But I can't do that for him. So all I did was like, I'm just going to try to schedule a little trip. So this is my lame attempt at a little quick anniversary present. We are doing a quick little staycation. Let me see if I can find it. We're going to head over.
It's not lame.
You don't think it's lame?
I'm very excited about it. No, it's great.
I'm excited about it too.
Plus the interpretive dance that you put together for me.
No interpretive dance. Okay. But we are going to do a quick little one-day staycay at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. We're heading out there later this afternoon. Can't check in till late this afternoon, and then we will be there all day tomorrow. And then we leave Wednesday morning. So we're not escaping work, unfortunately. We're literally Animal Kingdom Lodge is 5 minutes down the road. So we're not going very far. It allows us the opportunity to take care of any emergency situations that may arise. Hopefully they won't. Hopefully we can get a 24-hour period of where we can not have to put out any fires, figuratively speaking, please. But anyway, so we're going to head there later on this afternoon. And we'll be there tonight. We have some dinner or breakfast reservations, I think. And that's all we're doing. We're not going to the parks. We're just going to kind of hang out at the hotel. One of our favorites, to be honest, of all of the resorts that we've stayed in. We did stay in this one with our kids years and years ago. Because we have such a nice, big, beautiful pool area now, we're like, well, maybe we won't do the tropical Polynesian type thing. Maybe we'll kind of feel like we're going on safari. So we do have a beautiful Savannah view room. If you've never been to the Animal Kingdom Lodge, I will tell you, we'll talk more about it next week when we're back. We'll kind of take some pictures and share a little bit with you. But I will tell you, it is absolutely a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful resort. And the ability to have a Savannah view room and to see the animals, and it's really spectacular. Again, Disney does everything kind of top notch. Anyway, so that's what we're doing. So that's the first part, our little staycay to celebrate our 30th anniversary. So if by chance you are a client, and if by chance you have a 911 emergency, we will be able to respond. If it's not 911 and we get back to you a little bit later, that's why we're just trying to sit in a hotel room. We laughed. We're like, we're probably just going to watch the whole next season of Miss Maisel. Like, that's probably what we're going to do. Anyway, we're very lame people. Anyway, okay, so let's move on to the next one. So Lover's Lane. Okay, love how he tied this in. Eric, when he produces this morning little coffee time, that's kind of funny that's just coincidental timing. So we had our Sunday drive yesterday. I guess I'm supposed to go here. He has my buttons. There it is. Yeah. So we did our Sunday drive yesterday. And so if you haven't watched it, watch it. There's a little section that we actually were doing Lakeview Preserve, which is a Pulte community. Taylor Morrison was in there. Taylor Morrison is now closed out, and Pulte is kind of in their last little spot, which is their estates, which are the larger home sites. So we kind of did a little tour of that area up and down that road. And then as we were leaving, Eric wanted me to go down this other road called Lover's Lane. So here's a quick clip from yesterday's Sunday drive.
If I'm not mistaken, this is Lover's Lane. Yeah, this is Lover's Lane.
Lover's Lane.
Lover's Lane.
Lover's Lane. Is this our hot date, baby?
This is it.
All right.
Yeah, after we're done, we're gonna park and make out. So this is more like the rural settlement that's a little further down. But so again, you see big houses and whatever.
Love it. Look at that. Love it.
We were gonna horse trailers and stuff over there, so you see what you're getting here.
This is want me to go. Okay, that still cracks me up. We were just being goofy. Anyway, so the whole Lover's Lane, by the way, it is a beautiful road back in the rural village. You know, we kind of got sidetracked because the little clip was kind of funny. And the little sound effect was lovely.
But notice that I didn't even react in real time because the rejection is so constant. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not.
Anyway. Anyway, so that Lover's Lane area is part of that rural village, and you noticed probably how the homes were so far spaced apart. That's something that everyone likes out here. You have to understand what that means price wise, and you don't often find a lot of homes for sale out there because those people that own those home sites, that piece of land, they understand kind of what a gem they have, but it does exist. So anyway, so now let's go on to the final part, which are seller screw ups. So let's talk a little bit of real estate. So if you are either thinking about selling your home, if you are in the process of actively getting it ready to sell, if it's something that's kind of on your radar for a few years down, this is just some advice, some things that we have seen, some things that drive me bonkers, that I think is good information. So first of all, the first thing I like to tell people is that if you are my client and if you request that that we meet with you and assist you through the sale of your home. So the first thing I do is I give you a listing guide, and it really tells you room by room by room things that you could, would, should do. Sometimes I've gone into people's homes and their homes are already beautiful. There's really nothing that they need to do. They either live that way, which makes me feel bad about myself, but they live very minimalistically. They are very neat. They are very tidy. The home is clean. Everything is staged well. And whether or not it's staged or whether it's that they live well like that, again, makes me feel bad about myself, but it's not cluttered. It looks really nice. It's presentable. It is ready for showing. So in those cases, fantastic. There's really no work that you need to do. However, most of us need a little bit of guidance as to what we should do when we list our home. What does that look like? What is that going to entail? How much is that going to cost me? Is it going to cost me anything? And how much time is that going to, make me do? If I need to list it tomorrow, am I going to be able to get it ready? So here are a few of the things, not just about getting it ready, but just about seller mistakes, really to begin with, because the seller and the realtor that they choose is definitely a relationship. And, hopefully the seller has reached out to that realtor for their expertise and their knowledge of that area. I mean, hopefully, first and foremost, that's what they've done. But we see a lot of these mistakes. Sometimes my own clients, sometimes I hear the nightmare stories, or sometimes it's me with my buyer experiencing this mistake for the home that I am showing them. So here is some information. So here's a few, and I have so much more to talk about other than these things. So the first thing is the FSBO, the for sale by owner. So if you've never heard that FSBO terminology before, that is what we refer to as the for sale by owner. So if you look at that, on average, people who sell their home by owner receive 10% less for their home than those who listed it with a realtor. So let's talk about that. So if, in I will say in the highest case, again, there's no rule for percentages or commissions and things like that. But generally speaking, it's 3% for the buyer agent, 3% for the listing agent. It can be negotiated. It can be more. It can be less. But let's just say it's 6%. Okay, so if it costs you 6% to have a professional list your home, to have the oversight and the marketing ability to market your home, to get those buyers in, and it costs you 6% to do that, but you think you're going to be smart and do it outside without the help of a realtor, and you end up selling it for 10% less, that's a negative for you, right? And it's not, I mean, you can kind of put yourself in some situations when it comes to for sale by owner. I have actually had clients purchase a home with someone who was doing a for sale by owner. Would not normally do that, but this was the house that my client wanted. Of course, I'm doing my due diligence because my duty is to them. They wanted to see the home. We went. The seller had no idea what they were doing, like literally no idea. And if I weren't a nice, honest person, we could have really taken them for a ride, right? But I didn't. I wanted to make sure that the process was legit, that it was compliant with documentation that we need for all of these legal real estate transactions. And so, I basically ended up doing the listing agent's job for him by providing him with some of the documents that he would need and making sure that I guided him through what his next steps were so that my buyer could actually buy the home. But I didn't do that for a commission. I got nothing from him as a listing agent. Now you might think that let's just do that. That's smart. Most people are not like me, and they would have found a way to really take that homeowner for a ride. But at any rate, my due diligence was to make sure that my buyer was protected for a home that had some age on it, and so I wanted to make sure everything was good, and it worked out perfectly, and they still love the home. So anyway, so no FSBO, please don't do that. There's no real reason for that. Now let's move on to the green one in the middle. Price too high. Eric and I talk about this a lot, pretty much all the time. We talk about it in all of our Sunday drives because it is really still a problem. Again, that's part of why you have a realtor assist you who knows the area. An example is someone here in this area in my own neighborhood has a realtor from a whole other real estate place. I think they're Tampa or something. They don't know this area. They don't understand. And even though they can get the information, they've priced the home way too high, way too high. They've already done a price reduction and it's just going to sit there. And you wonder, why did they choose a person that was so far over, which, by the way, takes me to the blue one, friends over pros. Now, I don't know if this person chose a friend or a family member or the friend of a friend or the brother of a sister's brother's uncle's aunt. I don't know. But people do that, right? Oh, I have a friend. Oh, I have this. That's great. And by the way, we're not saying don't use them. They could be very knowledgeable. They could be a very attentive and good professional real estate agent. And they could do a good job for you. So this is not a blanket statement. But way too many times, way too often, it's somebody knows somebody. Oh, my neighbor. Oh, so-and-so. Oh, my friend. Or my brother knows someone. And that can be detrimental, because if by chance you are just choosing that friend, and that friend maybe they don't have the experience. Maybe they don't know how best to advise you. Maybe they don't know some of the intricacies of things. It can end up hurting you. And I think it's just important to think about that. If they're your friend and if they're your family, then they're still going to love you, because you're making one of the largest purchases, if not the largest purchase you're ever going to make in your entire life. And if your friend happens to be a very successful, experienced realtor, go for it. If not, you might want to rethink that. And if they're your friend, they'll still be your friend, because you need to do what's right for you. All right. So these blah, 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 blah. These bottom three are really important. And now, again, not blanket statements, because you have to understand every home is different. Every buyer is different. Every seller is different. Every realtor is different. So this is just some generic things. When the listing agent is required to be present at the showings. Okay, so that is okay if that is exactly what the seller is requesting and if there is a valid reason for it. But I will tell you, it can really put off the other buyers and sometimes the other buyer's agent. And you may think, well, that they shouldn't because it's that person's house. And if they want the realtor present, yes, I understand. And I have done that for many clients. But the problem is one of the things that we want is easy access. We want quick and easy access to your home. Thank you, dear. For, excuse me, for those showings. And if you have a busy realtor on both sides of this transaction, you are trying to coordinate the buyer and the buyer's agent with the listing agent. And that can be easy breezy, and it also can be very difficult. So if you're requiring that listing agent be present, then timing wise, that might not work for them. Maybe they're not here. Maybe they can't be there. And then that means we're missing out on the opportunity for someone to see the home that, really wants to see it. And I will say it's not realistic to expect that your realtor be beholden to you 100% of the time, because hopefully the reason that you chose that realtor to list your home is because they are active in the market, because they have clients, because they have clients that are looking to purchase, because they have, other clients that are looking to sell. And they're not just sitting home all day long waiting, at your beck and call for a showing. And that may sound bad, but it's not, I promise. It's about being active in the market, and it's about whether or not it's truly, phone ringing, whether or not it's truly advantageous and important enough for that listing agent to be present. Now, sometimes you do see this in like multi-million-dollar homes. You see that sometimes. Eric, did you want to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, it's very awkward too when you show up as a buyer agent with your client, and the other agent is there. You got all these different people. Mm-hmm. And how many times has a listing agent being there with one of your clients kind of blown the sale?
It does. It makes it very awkward. It makes it uncomfortable. And you might think to yourself from a logical standpoint, well, then that just shouldn't be the way it is. But it is the way it is. As the listing agent, when I am there, and I have had this in a recent listing that I had. Whenever I would meet, I would ask that other agent, are you familiar with this area? Because the other thing, you do want to sell that home, of course, right? And you want to make sure that the other realtor, that buyer's agent, is knowledgeable, because sometimes you don't know if they are. Because like I said, it could be your friend's brother's uncle's niece, right? I don't even know how that would be related, but anyway, you get the point. But you want to make sure that they know the area. You want to make sure they know all the wonderful things about that property, about that community, about the amenities, about the location, about the proximity to this, that, and the other. So there are good reasons for that. But a good realtor is already going to know that, and it's already going to be, that information will already be provided. So when the buyer agent comes in, I've said, are you familiar with this area? Blah, blah, blah. And if they are, then I let them do their thing. If they're not, then of course I'm going to be there to be helpful. However, that same exact conversation I have done many, many, many times where I was not required, because I'm going to do that anyway, right? I'm going to reach out to that buyer's agent and say, yes, your showing has been confirmed. Are you familiar with the area? Blah, 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 blah. And then I will give them an overview. And sometimes that communication is even better, because if they did not know that, now I have given that information to them privately, and they can share it with their buyers, and it makes them look more knowledgeable, as opposed to me coming in as the listing agent trying to one up their realtor by knowing everything about the listing and about the area. And again, I know that may seem very petty, but I promise you it happens. And so that's kind of our point, which is, if you don't have to, don't require that the listing agent be present. Now, just as important as the listing agent not being there, as the seller, please don't stay for the showings. Unless you are the realtor, right? If you are a realtor and you are selling your own home, okay, fine. Otherwise, the owner being present at the showings is very off-putting. You should make sure that you list your home at a time where you are able to vacate the property, and that you can pick up and go. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in depth here in just a minute. But yeah, so when a showing happens, and this is a little bit more difficult than it used to be, because so many people work from home right now. So for you to vacate the home, like let's say if it was a normal, you work out of the home 9 to 5 job somewhere, and people have showings during the day, then that doesn't really interrupt you, right? They're able to access your property, all is good. But I understand now it can be a bit more difficult when the seller works from home and they need to be working, right? They can't just up and leave. Well, that's true. So then you need to find times that you can vacate the property for those showings. And again, did this very successfully with a home that went pending within 24 hours, even though the homeowner works from home. They were able to, at a moment's notice, scooch out and scooch away and let that home be shown. And yes, it can be inconvenient, but you are trying to sell your home. So you have to kind of weigh the, what that looks like. And then let me see, the last one is no lockbox. So, and some people don't want to sign. Now I will tell you, signs and lockboxes, sometimes there are community guidelines when it comes to the signage. So there are some communities that don't allow signs, or they have to have a specific sign. So let's not even talk about the sign topic, okay? Because that's going to be so different. But the lockbox, really what the lockbox does is it allows you, or allows a realtor, a licensed realtor in good standing. You're bringing me one, right? Yep. I knew it. You are allowing, excuse me, you are allowing that realtor the ability to access the property after they have a confirmed showing request. So they will submit a showing request. Your agent will reach out to you. Hey, we have a showing request Tuesday at 3:00. Can you confirm? Yes, that's great. And then you'll vacate the property for that. And then the realtor comes. This is an electronic lockbox. It's a Supra iKey or an iBox, right? So this, safe. It is. It's like a safe. It's heavy. And it is not something that anybody is going to be able to get into. You have to be, it attaches to an app on our phone that only realtors have, and unless it happens to be like there are some like inspectors or, is that right? Yeah, inspectors have a way to access, but there's a secondary code that they have to be given. So trust me, it is very, very safe. So there's a lot of sellers that don't want a lockbox on their home. Okay, well then how are they going to get in? And they're like, oh, well, I'll let them in when they get here. Again, now you have the owner present to allow access. Again, can be awkward if the client is running a few minutes early or a few minutes late. It just immediately sets the tone for an awkward situation. Anyway, so think about those things. And again, we'll do a little quick. So the for sale by owner, enlist the help of a realtor. Make sure that when you speak with that realtor, you have a mental mindset of what that price looks like, and price it well to begin with, because as this one says, homes that started out priced too high very often sell for less than they would have if you had just priced it right to begin with. Friends over pros. Make sure that whoever you work with or enlist to help you through the process knows what they're doing and they are familiar with their area and they're not just your buddy. And make sure that, unless it is absolutely imperative, do not require your listing agent be present at every showing. And that does mean every showing, because of course your listing agent is going to be there if they're doing open houses or things like that. Try to vacate the property for the showings, and allow people to access your property without you being the one to access it, or requiring, again, the listing agent to be there to let them in. So with that, I'm going to take a couple questions, because I know I have a lot more. Hold on, move my buttons. I have a lot more I want to talk about that's not on that graphic that is still related to the same subject. But because, I know you guys get tired of me talking, let me do a couple questions real quick. So real quick, I don't see these as many questions here. Okay. Well,
Sydney's first.
I'll do Sydney's. Sydney, do you guys have a cabinet or two dedicated for just mugs? Yeah, I do. I have a really big, giant cabinet, and I need to clean it out. I need to thin it out too. But at the moment, we have the Christmas mugs on the tip top, because we only use those during Christmas time, and then some other seasonal ones. And then honestly, I have more mugs than I need, but because of you guys, I'm not going to get rid of them now. So I'm going to hang on to them. Jim, Federico, sheetrock is in. What happens next? And can we expect to be closing in a few months? So Jim, I have been getting all those lovely pictures that you've been getting too. So it's so nice to see that your home is coming along. Hopefully you're getting the ones that we're taking as well. So yeah, so once your drywall is in, this is really where the process starts to speed up a little bit. You know, especially for you guys who have been waiting forever. it starts to go a little bit faster because now we're talking about the pretties, right? So once the sheetrock is in, they mud, they tape, they do the spray texture, they spray everything paint-wise. Then you're just going to start to see the fit and finish coming in. You're going to start to see flooring. Carpet is always last, but they might start laying tile. You have cabinets, counters, the lighting fixtures. There's just a lot of things. All of the fit and finish on the inside starts to happen. So as far as your timeline goes, though, this is going to be different for every builder. It used to be, not now. Used to be like 45 days. Not anymore. Now we're talking like 60 to 75 days on average. Some builders may be going a little bit faster. Some builders may be going a little bit slower, which is why I say 60 to 75 days once that drywall is up. So we still have a couple months, a few months maybe, but we are definitely getting there, my friend. So very excited about that. Marcia, so excited for our NHO. Yes, which we expect to go on the punch list. What's been your craziest experience, good or bad, with these? Okay, Marcia, I know. I'm so excited about yours too. This is all so exciting. By the way, Jim and Marcia, both my clients, both getting to the end of the process. And oh my gosh, it's so exciting. I absolutely love new construction. I love all of it. I love resales. I love listings. But having clients go through the entire build process is just, I feel like we're all old friends. Now, Marcia, we are kind of old friends. But, working with clients over this long journey, it's just, I'm so grateful to be able to be in the back seat of this journey and to kind of follow along and to be able to offer some advice whenever they need it. But so in answer to your question, Marcia, so your new homeowners orientation is definitely coming up. So I will tell you, in a perfect world, your new homeowner orientation is scheduled 1 week prior to closing. So at that walkthrough, which typically is a little bit longer, it's maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the size of your home. You got a big one, so it'll probably take that 2 hours. It also depends on how many questions are asked. But the new homeowner orientation is a time for the builder to go over the mechanical aspects of the home, how it functions, as well as us walking room to room, up and down each wall, noting any deficiencies. Maybe there's paint touch-ups, maybe there's drywall touch-ups. We check cabinets, we check counters, we check drawers, double checking all the light switches work, all the doors latch, just really kind of giving it a good once over. In a perfect world, again, that home is ready for you. That does not mean by any stretch of the imagination that there's not going to be quite a few things that still need to be done. You are going to leave there most likely with lots of blue tape on the wall, which represents paint touch-ups, lots of green tape on the wall, which is going to reference drywall touch-ups. And I always tell people, and this is important to give every buyer a peace of mind, Jim, you as well, since you're just a little bit behind the process that Marcia is. The new homeowner orientation, regardless of how wonderful or how crazy that walkthrough is, the builder already has scheduled, no matter what we do at the new homeowner orientation. They already have the paint crew coming back. They already have a drywall crew coming back. They already have the cabinet people coming back, and they already have a final clean happening. So they've already, within that 1 week from your NHO to closing, they've already got those trades scheduled to come do their designated work, which is why we tape it. The drywall people are going to come in and they're going to know that they have to touch up where the green tape is. The paint people are going to come in and they know they need to touch up there. So honestly, things can, there's a lot of things that need to be touched up, but they have a whole week to do that in most cases. So it will be done. As far as the craziest experience, I actually had a builder once, and this was very long ago, decided they weren't going to give my client a new homeowner orientation, and they were just going to do a final walkthrough and close. And these clients lived out of state. And I was like, no. And so we went over there, and literally the countertop was still propped up against the wall. Wires were hanging out of the ceiling because there was no fixtures yet. Carpet wasn't down. And that was kind of a mess. Not normal. Okay, obviously that's not normal, but we basically go through those challenges as they arise. But in most cases, expect your new homeowner orientation to be fun. It's now your finished home. And by the way, this is important for everyone out there, and then I'm going to move because Eric's standing here. So the industry standard for noting any deficiencies is you being about 6 feet away from the wall. So if you are standing in the room and you look up and down all the walls and the corners, baseboards, all of that, if you can see it from 6 feet away, then it's going to be taken care of. Now, obviously, we're not standing 6 feet away. We're all with our nose right up to it and we're looking, right? And so you're going to find every little thing that you can. You need to make sure that you understand, stand a couple feet away. And if there's something that needs to be taken care of, they are absolutely going to take care of it. But if you put your eyeball up to it, it is a textured wall. So it's going to have a lot of inconsistencies. But as long as the paint is good, that's what we're looking for. Yes, sir.
Go to your comments, get it off the questions and go to the very bottom.
Go to the very bottom. Okay. Very bottom. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Yay! Oh my gosh. Allison Nicholson just popped in to say hello. We just celebrated our 1 year in Serrano Lakes. Loving it here. Yay! That makes me so happy. Oh my gosh. It is, see, this is what I mean. It kind of makes me, I get a little emotional because it's so exciting to help people along. And I have the hardest time kind of disconnecting, once they've closed, am I allowed to keep texting? And it's just nice. I'm just glad that you guys know I'm still here and I'm always here if you need me. So send me pictures, Allison. Let me see kind of what your house looks like now that you've moved in and you've done your stuff to it. That's exciting. Okay, so a couple more questions and then I'm going to move on to the other stuff because there was one that I saw. Hold on. Hold on. Where can I get it? Q. There we go. All right. I got that one. We did that one. Okay, MT, real quick. I am coming up on the end of our 1 year warranty new build and scheduled an inspection. Just wondering how often you hear of issues from those who do this. Good morning from Claremont. Yes. So that's exactly what I advise people to do. Get your end of the year, 1 year warranty done. My tip is don't be, and this is just to protect you. Again, most builders are going to be fine with this. But I don't want any homeowner that has spent this much money on the home to have any pushback from a builder whatsoever by them saying, well, you can't get an outside inspection done. Well, yeah, you can, right? You're allowed to do that. It's your home now, and they've provided you a 1 year warranty. So anything that is considered a warrantable item, they are obligated to address. So that being said, go for it. Okay, so usually there's not that many issues. What you're going to probably see are exterior stucco cracks, which is common. We live in Florida, and that's going to happen. I don't care whose house or who built it. It's going to have exterior stucco cracks. That's kind of an important one. There is homeowner maintenance required with those post this 1 year, so you always want to stay aware of that. But what I like for the inspectors to really focus on is the mechanical, making sure that all of the mechanical aspects of your home are still functioning properly, making sure your hot water heater or your HVAC units are still working, that all of your, the appliances the builder doesn't warranty anyway, that comes directly from the manufacturer, but just that the mechanics of your home are still working like they're supposed to. Toilets are still flushing, the plumbing is still good, the electrical is still good. Are you having any wonky light switches, things like that? So I always like to make sure that the mechanical and the structural is key. So did any of those cracks that may have been in your garage when you moved in, have any of them exceeded the threshold that is within the warrantable item? Usually if you can stick 2 nickels in the crack, or if it's displaced, like if it sits up a little bit, those are usually indications that it is a warrantable item and that they need to come in and fix that. That's what I usually look for is mechanical and structural. Any of the aesthetic stuff, you can say, everything needs to be re-caulked or grout because it's cracked. Some builders don't warranty that. So my point for you is focus on the mechanical, focus on the structural. Make sure they check the roof. Obviously, sometimes you start to get some blistered shingles or things like that. So it's important. So yeah, just do that and then file that under your builder warranty. If your builder reaches out to you to follow up with you on their own about the 1 year warranty walkthrough or whatever, some builders don't because they're just going to let that 1 year just slide on by. So depends on your builder. So, follow up with me. Let me know how that goes for you. But yeah, just get it done, file it under your builder's warranty, and you should be good to go. Okay, so I am going to go real quick. I want to go back to the back to a couple things about the sellers, because I think this is really important too. And that listing guide that I told you that I give to my clients, when they are thinking about putting their home on the market and basically prepping their home, it is your five senses. This is what I say, five senses. If you can do this on your own, great. If not, enlist the help of somebody that you love and trust, whether it's a neighbor, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member, and you want them to walk into your home as though it is their first time, and you want them to think of their five senses. The first thing is, what do they see? Do they see neat and tidy entryway? Do they see clutter? Do they see dog hair and dust gathered at the baseboards? Do they see, finger marks all over the wall? Do they see dings? Do they, is it just cluttered as they enter? Or is there something where not only do they enter, but their eye expands and their eyes get bigger as they go? So what do you see when you walk in? What do you smell when you walk in? And this is key. We have a lot of people that eat a lot of spicy food and or seafood things. Those smells can really penetrate into the home. So you want to make sure that you're accustomed to it. You don't smell it, just like dogs, right? Some people have pets. They don't smell the cats anymore. They don't smell the dogs anymore. Get that impression from that person that you trust and let them be brutally honest with you. What do you smell when you come in? Do you smell the spicy food? Do you smell the dogs or the cats? Do you smell mold or mildew? Or do you smell clean? Do you smell the air freshener over there? Does it feel like it smells good? So you have what you see, what you smell, what you hear. This is important as well. Once you shut the front door, what do you hear? Do you hear a main road maybe that's near you? Do you hear planes overhead? Is there something that you need to, and I don't want to say camouflage because it exists, right? You have to be fully transparent about what's there. But lots of people, you add little water features back, and it doesn't have to be a pool water feature, but like a little standing little trickle waterfall. Those types of water features can really camouflage a lot if you happen to be relatively close to a road that maybe just during traffic hours tends to kind of echo some of that. So what you see, what you smell, what you hear, and these are things that you can adjust, right? So you can play music in your home. Right? I had a client, it was a client. I showed them the home. It wasn't my listing. They had a beautiful home, and but it backed up to a road, and you could hear the cars going by. But they had outdoor music kind of playing during the showing, and they had the water feature going, so it helped camouflage it. Well, we knew it was still there, but it was certainly helpful to go, well, it's not as bad as we thought it would. If you've got this other stuff to help buffer it or muffle it a little bit, that's good. The other thing is, what do you touch? Now, this may seem weird. First of all, you don't want to go touching everybody's things in their home, but this is what I mean. And again, this comes from experience. Walking up the stairs, the stair rail itself was so sticky. Yeah. It was gross. The moment that happened, buyers are like, nah, because it doesn't matter how whatever surface cleaning you did, that just shows you the grossness, right? And it really was. It was gross. It was a white handrail, and you could see the dirt on it, and it was sticky, and it was just gross. So touching does matter. And I'm not saying that they're going to open all of your cabinets and drawers, but another example is, again, this was a client of mine, and he said he had the home cleaned. It was vacant. And I went into the home, and I laid my arms down like this on the island, and it was sticky on the island. And I was like, oh, that's so gross. And I mentioned it, we wiped it down for him. And he's like, oh, we had someone clean. And I'm like, well, they need to come back because there's sticky stuff all over the counter. So that's kind of what I mean. So what do you touch, right? Same thing when it comes to like, okay, maybe you have a slider and they're getting ready to open that slider to your back door or to your front door. Take attention to those doorknobs and the surrounding area. Clean it. Make sure it's destickified, right? And then the final thing is taste. Now, obviously, don't go eating the home. But it does, I have to throw that in there because it is a sense. But it's kind of like, can you think about like an open house, right? Sometimes they have the chocolate chip cookies, and sometimes, like we'll have the apple pie and things like that at the open houses. So sometimes that taste just kind of helps to generate another feeling. So I did have a client, lovely clients. I listed their home, and I did not even ask them to do this. Either they did it on their own, of their own free will, or maybe they did read the packet that I gave them and decided to take it to heart. They actually, every time there were showings, they always had a tray of fresh cookies that was, covered with some saran wrap, but they had a little note there saying, please take one, and some little waters there for a regular showing, not for an open house, just for a showing. And, whether or not that's going to make a sale, I don't know, but it certainly leaves a positive impression and it makes it feel like home. So anyway, so those were a couple of other little tidbits there. All right, let me move on to something else. Eric's wandering back in. More questions. Yes, sir. Okay. Kim, do 55 plus communities have restrictions on how often your grown children visit and how long? Yes, Kim, they do. And I know I'm going to see you pretty soon, my friend. So yes, they do. And this will be something that we want to confirm each and every time with each and every community, even though the rules for 55 plus communities are pretty much standard. I always like to make sure that that comes directly from the sales agent if it happens to be new construction. Otherwise, we know that by looking at their HOA documents. So yeah, there are restrictions on how long they can stay with you. There was one community once that says they couldn't stay with you for longer than 14 days consecutively. And then there was another community where I heard it was you can have people visit 90 days out of the year, but not consecutively. So I think that is a really, really good question. And if you do have grown children that are going to visit, first of all, I'm a big believer that if it's your home, they should be able to visit as long as they want. But I understand it's 55 plus and they have those restrictions. So that will be something that we definitely confirm. But grown children is also different than younger children. So we can talk about that when you come in. But yes, there will be restrictions on it. But in most cases, people aren't going to be staying with you that long anyway. Yes, sir.
I was looking for John Foster. I had a good question. Oh, there it is.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, Susie said, "Great advice. We're getting ready to put our home on the market next month in New York." Yeah, good. I hope that helps, because it really is. And I have some more. I'm going to go back to them in a minute. I'm on a seller's thing today. Eric, how do you handle a situation when a buyer arrives with kids when they leave the showing, blankets, pillows are strewn about? How should a showing agent handle that? Eric, that is a fantastic question. That is so uncomfortable, and it does happen. Sometimes you have parents who explain to their children proper behavior when they're visiting someone else's home and they're looking at it, not to play with the toys, and that can be hard, right? Because little kids are little kids, they walk into a little kid's bedroom that's about their same age and they see the toys on the shelves and they want to go right over and play because they're not able to do that. So part of that is a parent's job to make sure that they tell their children, no touch, however their kid will understand or respond, or don't bring the kids to the showing, or tag team it. Now, as far as how the agent should handle it, honestly, I'm a mom, so I kind of tell them if I start to see them kind of running around the home, I'll just politely remind them, hey guys, let's not run. Remember, this is somebody else's home. And if they sit on the furniture, again, usually we're like, oh, can you help me straighten that pillow back up? Here's what I do. This way it gives the child something to do, and hopefully it will keep them occupied while we're looking, which is, by the way, another tip. If you are a seller, when you leave your home, will you leave all of your lights on, please? The doors open and your blinds open or curtains open, unless you're trying to hide a view that's not desirable. Otherwise, leave the lights on. Most people don't, which I understand why, but that's one of the things. I just had this the other day. They had their kids with them, and I was like, hey, could you go through and turn all the lights on for me? And so that gave that kid, he would run around and find all the light switches and turn them on. And that was truly being a helper, and it helped get him around the house and things like that. So, but yeah, if I am the agent, that's showing the home, I have to fix it back up. I'll replop those pillows the way they go. And, I try to make sure that the kids stay with us. So it's a really good question.
Do my question at the very end.
Do Eric's question. Should buyers it's a very good question. Should buyers use the restroom at a showing? No. unless it is an absolute emergency, and I will tell you, there are emergencies, and I am well aware of emergencies. So if it is an emergency situation, then yes. If you have a toddler that is about to wet themselves, again, if there was a way maybe for them to not come on this particular house hunting experience, but just generally speaking, I have had adults just all go like, over. I'm like, no, we'll make a pit stop where there's a public restroom. This is someone's home. So no, that does not sit well with me unless it is an emergency. That's gross, personally.
It also doesn't sit well with sellers. Sellers
get
freak
so
out.
mad. Yes.
Especially if you go to the bathroom.
Well, if you go to the bathroom and then somebody else said, I don't remember which listing it was, but somebody said, somebody not only went to the restroom, but they left the lid up and they, if you sprinkle when you tinkle, please be neat and wipe the seat. Remember that? Right? Well, they sprinkled when they tinkled, but they did not wipe the seat and they left it all up. And what was upsetting was that there were other showings scheduled that day. And so other people came in. They're like, well, now other people are going to think we live like that. And it was from someone who came. So anyway, so real quick, couple more questions. Mrs. Florida Man, is it better to show a house with furniture or empty? That's a great question. I mean, I always like homes that have furniture in them if they are staged and it looks like it belongs there. Sometimes, like if it's a vacant home, I've had several vacant listings recently, and we opted to stage them. A basic staging package here for the company that I use is like $1,500, which included quite a bit of furniture, mostly on that first floor living area, kitchen, family room, dining room area, a couple of, scattered pieces. Made a huge difference in the home. Definitely helps clients visualize it. If you have furniture in it and you feel like it fits the space well, it's cohesive, it's not hodgepodge furniture that doesn't make sense, then maybe empty is better and staging it afterwards. But if you have furniture in it and it looks nice, again, it fits the space, and then usually I say just thin it out. If you've got sofa and a love seat and 2 chairs, well, maybe take away the 2 chairs and maybe take away the love seat. Just again, you want as much open space and as fluid a walking route throughout the room that you can, so that people can move quickly and easily and not bump into furniture all the time. So that's usually my suggestion, which is the same thing for like closets, pantries, and cabinets. Any surface, remove about half of it so that everything looks like it has more space. That's a good question.
Did you do that one?
I do. No, I was kind of going backwards because you told me to go down. So John and Terry Foster, months of waiting and now just 8 weeks away. Excitement is turning into anxiety. Aww. Yes, that's normal. Also my clients, John and Terry. Yeah, do what?
You got the closing date yesterday.
Yeah, I know. That's exciting. So yes, because especially for people that have been waiting so long, it's almost like you felt like it was never really going to happen, right? It's just kind of this thing that's happening out there in the abyss that, may or may not come to fruition. So yes, the anxiety is definitely normal, but hopefully so is the excitement. As you get closer, especially in yours, because like we said, we know where yours is in the process, right? That flooring going down. Oh my gosh, right? So beautiful. Now you really get to start to see those pretties, and it really starts to feel like your house. So now there's going to be a connection between you and that structure. So it's no longer a structure, it's going to be your shelter. And that really does start to make a difference. Hopefully, and I know it's hard when you're not here to see it every day. So hopefully those pictures that we send you as an update will help. Really, I mean, for me, sprint to that 8-week finish line, baby, because it's going to be gorgeous. And I'm so excited for you guys. So that's definitely exciting. Allie, in regards to some of the building related questions, that was Allie. Good job, Allie. She's doing her job. Okay, so let me go back then. Excuse me. Let me go back to here. Okay, so a couple other things, then we're going to move on. I promise I'm going to stop talking about selling stuff. Hold on. There it is. Okay. So a couple other things real quick. When you are selling your home, be accommodating. Like I said earlier, if you work from home, figure out what you can do. Is there a place you can go, maybe to the amenity center, maybe to your friend's house, maybe to a Starbucks, and find a place where you can work remotely for however long it takes to get it sold, or at least to be able to pop up and go. The other thing is to prepare your home to list, clean it, prep it, and always be ready for a last minute showing. Always. We typically request 24 hours advance notice so that if you request a showing on a Monday or request a showing for a Tuesday, that you've requested it on Monday to give everyone time. But sometimes people are like, hey, I'm in the neighborhood. I saw the sign and I'm here with my clients. Is there any way we can go see it? Be ready if at all possible. And in my listing guide, I actually have a checklist. I don't know if people use it, but they should. It's a checklist you can either put on the inside of a cabinet or somewhere so that every time you walk out the door, you know that these 3 things or 4 things or 5 things have been done. Like put the toilet seats down, turn all the lights on, squirt a little fragrance thing somewhere, make sure that the home is prepped and ready. And then one other one, and then I promise I'm moving on, is if you are trying to sell a home that is tenant occupied. Oh my gosh. Okay. If you happen to own a home, whether it is a short-term rental investment property or whether it is a home that you purchased and it is now tenant occupied and you were trying to sell it, you have to understand that maybe that tenant needs to be out before you sell it, or you need to have extreme oversight as to what that home looks like and the accessibility of that showing. And this is a true story. I showed a tenant occupied home to clients just the other week. The woman was there. The tenant was there. She was working from home. Everything on that census list was wrong. It was a mess. There was the sink was, everything was overflowing with just typical day-to-day living. It smelled gross. It smelled like just a whole array of food and garbage. We didn't touch anything because you didn't want to touch anything, except all the doors were shut. So we had to open the doors. And finally, after they had to open the 3rd door, they're like, we don't feel comfortable. We can just leave. So obviously they didn't make an offer on that home. They couldn't get out fast enough. So here's something you need to know. If that tenant is occupying your property and if they don't necessarily want to leave, what's in it for them to get that home prepped and ready and to be accommodating and to show it in its best light? Because by the way, they love the floor plan. We already knew the floor plan. So if you are a tenant, if you are the landlord, if you own the property and you're trying to sell it, you need to have a very, very, very real conversation with your tenant and make sure that you set those expectations or wait for them to get out to try to sell it. And that's not true of all tenants. Some of them are fabulous, but most of them are going to be like that. Okay. Now with that, I'm going to move on. Want to do Zillow?
Yeah. You haven't seen.
Oh, I know. I haven't seen it. So it's a new Zillow for me. Okay. Okay, I have not seen those in Kings Point, New York. Holy moly, $45 million, yeah. 18 bedrooms, 28 bathrooms, 60. First of all, why? But I like that. I mean, it's pretty though. It's beautiful. It's not my taste, but boy, I like it. What, does someone famous live there and they just have that many millions of dollars? I don't know. Wow. Look at that. That looks like the aerial grotto bathroom. Is that what it? Oh no, that's the pool area. Wow. This is lovely. It's definitely taste specific. What in the world? That's the gym, but what is that shell chair over there? Interesting. The garages, that's nice. Lots of space. I like it.
Yeah.
It is absolutely beautiful. I'm curious as to whose home it is. Somebody get on that. Figure out whose home that is. You got to have money to put together a home like that. I just always wonder why. Who needs 18 bedrooms, but more importantly, 28 bathrooms? 28 bathrooms? Can you imagine? Anyway.
By the way, you said that shelter. That was a bowling alley.
That was a bowling alley?
That was a ball return.
It was?
There was 2 pictures, and one was the gym, the other was a bowling alley.
Oh, I didn't see that. I was looking at the other side. Anyway, so that's pretty spectacular. So if you have, by the way, I promise you this. If you have $45 million to spend and you would like to purchase this home, I will get my license in New York so that I can sell it to you. Okay? Kidding. No. Anyway, okay. That was pretty cool. I like that one. All right. Let me go to congratulations because I don't want to forget this because it was a very big week for us. Well, not for us, for these people. I know we need to add them too, right? So we actually just realized we forgot somebody. So Bill and Ruth closed on Sonoma Sunset. Yay. So if you remember the Sonoma Sunset, that one closed the other day. They are out. New homeowners are in, and Bill and Ruth are just anxiously waiting for their new construction home to be built. So John and Terry, perhaps the same area that you're waiting in. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So Bill and Ruth sold their home. They're waiting. Brittany and Andrew, yes, Lord, thank you. We finally closed on the hidden gem. Yes, the one that was priced so well from the very, very, very beginning. And I think that what happened with that particular home, maybe we should do as a topic sometime about those like lawsuit type things. Anyway, just there was a lot of bumps and hurdles and pitfalls, and we veered off course a few times, but we got it to the finish line, and they are officially closed. So congratulations to them. That's a big deal. They've been waiting anxiously for their new home to be built too, but the biggest headache was getting the other one sold. And Paul and Helen. So we got our encore at Ovation. The standing ovation home is now under contract. Woohoo! Super excited about that one as well. And we also wanted to mention, Jessica and Marcellus. We just had their new homeowner orientation this past Friday, I think it was. And so they'll be closing this week on their beautiful home. So lots of exciting things happening. We had a lot of people get pushed to April that we thought was going to be March. So this is probably going to be a super busy month. So congratulations to all of them. And again, anyone that is going through the process at whatever stage that you're in. And then from there, did you say there's more questions, honey? I think so, yeah. More questions? Good gracious. I love it, guys. All right, hold on. I got to figure out how to do this. I am so old. All right, so Q. I did this bottom. I did this one. I did this one. I did this one.
So Kim.
Oh, Kim. Should you take all of your pets out of the house for showings? Yes, ma'am. Please. Yes.
That was easy.
That would be great. Now, I know, trust me, I know that is a challenge. When we sold our home in Virginia, we had 2 dogs and a cat, and we'd have to load them up every, whatever, and you have to drive around with them in your car. But yeah, there's also places, again, where, depending on where people live, there's other scenarios. But I did have some clients several years ago. They actually moved back to Wales, I believe. But there were times where they would take their dogs to like a daycare. Like if it was a Saturday and we knew we were going to have a bunch of showings, they would just schedule them like a daycare, doggy daycare thing, so that they could go and run and have fun. They weren't going to be cooped up in a car the whole time, or you wouldn't have been displaced out in the blazing Florida heat walking them, because that's not fair to the dogs either. But it depends. If you've got little cats, little dogs, that's great. Just take them with you, please. Yes, please, please, please take your pets with you. And if you can, remove some of their various things, pick up their dog toys and squirt, because they leave smells. But yes, please. Okay. I think that was the last question I saw.
Yeah, market update and what I'm watching.
Okay, so I'm going to do what I'm watching and then market update, and then we're going to get out of here because it's 10:02. Okay, so market update. I got to find it. Here it is. Good. So I think this is just the 3rd week that we've been adding this little graphic to it. And so I think that long term, this is going to be a little bit more informative. So what we're trying to do is we're comparing last week to this week. And then, of course, we did the same last Monday. So if you can see here, last week's actives was 158. This week's actives is 135. So that means not as many homes went on the market this week. The other thing is, just like I said, a lot of things were pushed to April closings. You can see that 147 closed last week, 141 closed this week, but we have 101 pending now this week, and we had 68 last week. So that just kind of, you can see the shift there. One of the things that we really like to pay attention to is the very last thing, the absorption rate. You can see last week it was 32 days, and this time it is 29 days. So it just means not as many homes have come on the market. So good information to have if you're looking at listing your home. That number matters, right? We want to maximize, we want to maximize the buyers that are out there. If there's not that many homes, those homes are going to sell. So just kind of important information to have. So hopefully that's helpful. And again, as we do this time over time, week after week after week, you could probably start to kind of see that yourself. Okay, let me move on then to what I'm watching, because this one is exciting. Okay, I just finished this on Netflix. It's called Women at War. It was, I think it was Netflix. I think it was only like 8 or 9 episodes, so it was a fun watch over the week to watch an episode or 2 each night. I really, really, really liked this. I told you my taste is very diverse. I can go with one thing and then totally flip it and go into another direction. Honestly, it has to grab me in the beginning. It's kind of like a book. If it doesn't grab my attention right away, then I'm not going to watch it. And this one most definitely did. So I thought this was a great watch. If you haven't seen it and if you're trying to find things, if this looks like it might be something that's, in the genre that you might also enjoy, then I give this one definitely 2 thumbs up on this one. I like this a lot. Currently, yeah, I finished that just the other day. So I did start a new one, and I'll share that one with you next week. But who knows what Eric and I are going to watch on Netflix while we have our little staycation. So anyway, all right, guys. So as I wrap this up, I'm going to make sure I have everything, right? I think I do. Anything else? Eric, anything else, babe? What? Get out. He says get out. Okay, fine. He wants me to leave. All right, guys. So as always, let me do this. I got to find my thingy. As always, we appreciate you guys joining us for our little hour-long-ish coffee time. Again, sorry I was on to the Diet Coke, but next week, I hopefully will have a new mug because I'm going to get one at the gift shop at Animal Kingdom Lodge. But again, thank you guys for joining in. Hopefully this was a good one. Again, lots of seller talk. Maybe next week we'll talk about buyers and some things that you can expect and some ways to prep for your house hunting journey. Other than that, we are here for you. If you've got any questions, our staycation doesn't mean that we're going away. We are still working. So if you need us, don't forget to reach out. As always, please stay safe, stay well. Remember, we love you and happy house hunting. Bye, guys.